Africa for renewable energy and renewable fuels, and through mission innovation activities. Enhancing sustainability of renewable energy technology and renewable fuels value chain. This is something we started at the end of, Horizon Europe, and we are focusing more. We are not only looking at developing technologies, but also looking at their own value chains, which in fact is one of the outcomes of the pandemic on COVID, which puts more stress on the value chains. We are also looking at having more effective market uptake of renewable energy and fuel technologies. Next slide, please. On the energy system grids, there is to increase resilience of the energy systems with on improve and on new technology to control the system and maintain stability. Increase flexibility and resilience of the energy system based on technologies and tools to plan and operate different networks for different energy carriers simultaneously. Next slide, please. Enhance consumer satisfaction and increase system flexibility to enable consumers to benefit from data-driven energy services. Improve energy storage technologies, in particular heat, but also other such electrochemical, chemical, mechanical, and electrical. Next slide, please. I'm going a bit fast, but all these slides will be available to you, and they're also part of our work program. So we are also looking in the energy system to foster the European market for new energy services and business model. We are looking at the impact of more effective and efficient solution for transporting offshore energy. Next slide. In terms of CCUS, the impact that we expect is accelerating rollout of infrastructure for CCUS hubs and cluster, to have an updated authoritative body of knowledge of connecting industrial CO2 sources, to have proven feasibility of integrating CO2 capture, CO2 storage, and CO2 use in industrial facilities, to have reduced costs of the CCUS value chain, to have an adequate framework for measurement, monitoring, and verification for storage projects. Next slide. So now going more again in the work program. So there you see the budget we have for Destination 3 overall. In the first work program, we have about 1.2 billion over 2 years. You see that is 40% of the total share for the work program. We have about 67 in total topic for 21-22. And in terms of budgets, we also have about 66%. So you see that Decision 3 is really at the core of our activity in the first work program. One of the reasons I always say when I present this slide is, well, if you don't have the energy supply to you, well, you can't do anything. So, and it's the only destination we produce energy. Next slide, please. So, in the 4 activities that we have currently, we have on the renewable energy. I will just mention the key point. We have for 2021, 20 topics with about 335 million. We have 24 topics for 2022. We have for the energy system, grids and storage, 10 topics in 2021 for 152 million and 7 in 2022. On the carbon capture, utilization and storage, there is 2 topics in 2021 for 32 million and 1 topic in 2022. And for the cross-cutting, what we have is in 2021, the coordination support action on geological services. We also have a coordination support action on stakeholder supports. So that is activities that are done under the set plan. And we have also in 2021, the Clean Energy Transition co-funded partnership. Next slide, please. So in terms of calls, this is, I think, for you a very important information. You have all the deadlines for all the calls for the cluster 5. In particular, for destination 3, you see here that the first call deadline is today. The next call deadline is at the first week of January, the 5th of January next year. And the second one is on the end of February 2022. The first three calls, are dealing with 2021 topics. The 2022 topics will be more from April and at the end of the year in October and in January 2023. This delayed deadline is due to the late start of Southern Europe. Next slide, please. So this is a bit difficult slides to read, but these are all the topics that have a deadline on the 5th of January this year. You see that there is innovation action on demonstration for wave energy device. There is a coordination support action for the sustainability and aspects of renewable energy. On the renewable energy, we have also the deadline of the market uptake measure for renewable energy. And we have a topic on photovoltaic, on research and innovation. On the energy sectors, we have 3 innovation actions there that you see on the left that are dealing with the energy sectors integration, the increased energy system flexibility for based on sector integration services, and we have the reliability and resilience of the grids. We have also research activity on electricity system and resilience, mainly focusing on HVDC based solutions. We have 2 more innovation actions on demonstration for super conducting system, and we have also a demonstration of advanced power electronics, and we have a coordination support action to reinforce digitalization of the energy system. In terms of CCUS, we have the 2 topics of CCUS. One is integration it's a coordination and support actions. So this is more knowledge sharing, and we have a research innovation on cost reduction of CO2 capture. And globally, we have support to activity of the European Geological Services, as I mentioned before, and the support to the activities of the European Technology and Innovation Platforms and of the implementation working group of the SET plan. So these are all the topics for January. Next slide, please. Links to that you could find useful is the links of our information day that was done in July, not in the month 74. So sorry for this typing error. And obviously the link to our funding and tender portals where you will find all this information I just mentioned. Next slide, please. Yes, also all the links that you can find useful. And I think this is the end of my presentation. Thank you. We can't hear you.
Maya, you're on mute.
Sorry, again. Thank you very much, Mr. Philip Schild, for your really clear and I think very well structured presentation. You were also well on time. Also, just to mention that the link to the working program for Cluster 5 is also in your invitations that you have received, and it's also on the conference website. additional to the presentation of Mr. Schild. And now I would like to pass the word to my colleague Eva, who will moderate the second part of the event. Eva, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Maya, and thank you, Philippe, for giving us the overall picture of what's there in Horizon Europe. And you already mentioned one important part of the work program, which relates to the Clean Energy Transition Partnership. And that's exactly why we invited Nicola from the Federal Ministry for Climate Action, Environment, Energy, Mobility, Innovation, and Technology from Austria, because he's the guy behind this partnership, and I believe very busy at the moment with the deadline that you just mentioned as well for the project on the partnership. And I think it will be also very interesting for all of you to hear what exactly it means that apart from the regular calls from Horizon Europe, we have a clean energy transition partnership and opportunities that are there for researchers and for entrepreneurs and for other stakeholders to take part in those kind of activities later on. So again, very happy to have you with us, Nicolas, and I think give you the floor at the moment. Your slides are already on the screen, so the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Eva. Thank you for the introduction as well. And also for the appraisal. For me, being the guy behind all of this is not true. Obviously, there are many people behind this, and I'm also stepping in for my colleague Michael Hübner today, who is still working on the proposal. And you already said it. Today is the deadline. We are still making fine-tuning. Yeah, we had our first submission yesterday. We are going to do another one today with some optimization. But yeah, it's we're very happy that we got there. So yeah, my name is Nicolas Reschen. I'm from the Austrian Ministry for Climate Action. My colleague Michael and me, we have been coordinating the Clean Energy Transition Partnership initiation since 1.5 years roughly now. And with the submission today, we are entering a new chapter that leads up to the launch of the Clean Energy Transition Partnership eventually. Next slide, please. I will not repeat everything that Philippe has already said. I mean, you already know what, or many of you know what co-funded partnerships are, but the Clean Energy Transition Partnership is a multilateral and strategic partnership of national and regional RDI programs. So at the moment, we have 70 regional agencies and ministries that are part of the consortium, which is enormous. Actually, it's a very big consortium. And we also have 2 associated partners from Switzerland. So we are very happy that the interest is so high, and also that we were successful in accruing, first of all, many people that are getting active and funds that have been allocated to the CTP. The CTP addresses the challenge of clean energy transition, as you know, and its aim is to coordinate national and regional research, development, and innovation strategies, programs, activities, and stakeholders. And to kind of sum it up, it is the effort to have a more integrated and larger partnership that covers areas that have been covered by the ARANETs before. And the CTP is very proud that it builds on the experience of these 14 successful ARANETs that have been engaged in clean energy transition and similar topics in Horizon 2020. Also, some of you have also participated in the initiation of the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda that has been launched in November last year and approved by 32 countries and regions. This is really built on experiences from the industries, the sciences, but also from the public sector. So this is really the fundament to design and to create the research agenda of the partnership. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is really coming from the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. In this agenda, we have developed 8 challenges, and the challenges should represent the research priorities that will be dealt with in the coming years of the partnership. And they are kind of separated in between enabling technologies and system integration aspect. So this is not like a separation is set in stone, but it is like a guidance. And it has 8 challenges, and they are dealing with optimized integrated European net zero emission energy systems, which is the titles are sometimes quite a mouthful. Then enhanced zero emission power technologies, really dealing with increasing the conversion of efficiency per unit of power technologies, and dealing with many of power technologies that have been formerly dealt with in the ARENETs. Then we have challenge 3, enabling climate neutrality with storage technologies, renewable fuels, and CCS. We have another challenge that is dealing with heating and cooling solutions. And then there come the more system integration related challenges, which are dealing with integrated regional energy systems, integrated industrial energy systems, and integrated integration of the built environment. And then finally, we also have a challenge that is dealing with cross-cutting dimensions that is really kind of covering all aspects that kind of touch on all of these challenges to a certain extent, and we try to keep in mind also aspects of social sciences that are important in those challenges. I will also post, if you're interested, the research agenda, the strategic research and innovation agenda in the chat if somebody wants to read up on this. Next slide, please. Yeah, how are those challenges integrated in the partnership itself? So what we have aimed to do is take the challenges and build so-called transition initiatives on them. These transition initiatives are all led by experienced agencies that have been dealing with the topics that are dealt with in the challenges for the last years. And they are really leading on the development of call topics in these areas. How are those call topics designed? How are they created? They are created by designing call modules for each joint call. So we will have annual joint calls, which are defined and developed with all TRIs, and which are specified in the annual joint call that is probably launched every year in autumn. And the other activities will be defined annually in the work programs of the TRIs. The TRIs themselves will develop implementation plans to really have a good strategy how they want to achieve the goals that are defined within the transition initiatives. Next slide, please. Yeah, because we are at an international event today. We want to emphasize that we are not operating in a vacuum. So we really try to build strategic alliances, build partnerships with other important initiatives, and try to have to keep in mind the other partnerships that are currently in development. And this is really and we have come up with this list of partnerships. So in the cluster digital industry and space, there's this smart networks and services partnership, then clean steel, geological services for Europe. In the cluster climate, energy and mobility, obviously clean hydrogen, built for people, industrial battery value chain, and the DUT, which is also being launched under coordination of our ministry. So my colleague is working on this. They are also very busy on it at the moment. Then we have circular bio-based Europe in the cluster food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture and environment. And then we have the EIT, so EIT Climate Kick and EIT Energy. What is also important, what I want to emphasize, is that we are planning to have matchmaking platform in the Clean Energy Transition Partnership. So this is really something where people are able to connect if they are looking for partners in the application to joint calls. So this is something to keep in mind, and this will be communicated while it is developed. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is just to re-emphasize how strong the commitment is. So we have the commitment of 32 countries and regions. Sorry, I forgot the regions there. and they have indicated the interest to either participate and or allocate budget to the CETP. This is really a great success in our view. And we also have an indicated budget of the member states and associated countries of 200 million without the co-fund. So there will be also the co-fund added to this. And this really shows that we have a very a good foundation for the first two joint calls, 22 and 23, and are looking forward to working on the topics in the next couple of months. Next slide, please. Oh, one back, please. Okay, what comes next? So, as already mentioned several times, the CTP will be submitted today. We are then awaiting, obviously, a hopefully positive evaluation, and with the outlook to sign the consortium and grant agreement in sometimes in spring. And then the first call, as already said, is projected to be launched in autumn 2022. And of course, the call topics will then be communicated as fast as possible in advance, so people can prepare for it. And as I already said, we're also planning to have a matchmaking platform that really helps to facilitate the participation. And the Clean Energy Transition Partnership will also have work packages that are really working on creating impact and also building a knowledge community. So this is, we also want to emphasize that we are not only trying to provide joint calls that have a meaningful impact and that are really a targeted impact, but we also have a very good understanding afterwards what has worked and what can we learn from it. And with this, I would like to say thank you. I think I was a little bit ahead of time. If you have any questions regarding the Clean Energy Transition Partnership, you can send me an email. I will post it in the chat. I've forgotten to put it on the slides. And obviously, we will try to be as transparent as possible, or we try to be as quick as possible to share details on what is to come next. But at the moment, we are trying to get the submission done and then really get going with the creation of the things that we have created in our proposal and we projected in our proposal and get it to work. And yes, thank you. This has been all I have to say today.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. Indeed, we are also looking forward to the launch, the official launch of the partnership.
NCPR is a partner. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mention it. Yes, thanks a lot.
Yeah, also a partner. Yeah, yeah. So of course Polish, but not only Polish. We have an international community here, but from our side, Polish participants will also be, I hope, active in this topic as they were in the previous initiative. Like you said, this is building on Eranet, so we've been also quite active in Eranet's energy-related initiatives before. So, and the topic is, of course, one of the most challenging now for our country as well. Okay, so thanks a lot, and indeed to all the participants. If you have questions to Nicolas, please put them on the chat as well, and we will come back to that shortly after the presentation that is coming at the moment now. So thanks again, Nicolas, and I would like to welcome Roxana Czesoy and Georgia Karoli from the European Commission and from the new Agency for European Climate, Environment and Infrastructure. We will now hear about the Innovation Fund, which is another initiative that's also funded by the European Commission related to energy. And it gives another opportunities to fund energy-related projects, and we thought that that might be also of interest to you. So we are very happy to welcome two speakers with us, responsible also for the Innovation Fund implementation. And without further ado, I would like to give the floor to you. So Roxana, Georgia, the screen, rather maybe that the floor is yours.
Thank you a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Eva. So yes, I have the pleasure to present the Innovation Fund together with my colleague Georgia here for you. And I would actually want to start with the Innovation Fund position compared to Horizon and what we heard so far. Why is that? Because we are actually targeting a little bit more mature projects. So basically projects that have done substantiated research in Horizon, have reached a phase of pilot and have had great results, breakthrough innovations in order to invest in clean tech technology and low carbon innovations, can further on consider the Innovation Fund. I mean, once you are close to demonstration pre-commercial scale, then here we cover this part of the need of the market. Next slide. I think Georgia is controlling our slides. So what are we targeting in terms of investments? Renewable energies, but also not only use, but also the manufacturing plants for components. So photovoltaic plants, for example. Then carbon capture, use and storage, but the actual carbon capture, use and storage, not the research of it, just to again differentiate from Horizon. The energy intensive industry, so basically everything that is in the cement industry, steel industry, refineries, including substitute products. But here there is a caveat. Since the Innovation Fund is funded with ETS, the emissions trading system, then the activities to be funded should be found in Annex 1 of this directive. So, and the last point would be on energy storage, and also in this case, it's important to note that we also found a manufacturing plant for components. And again, scaling up, going to mature projects, going to pre-commercial scale. Next slide.
I do apologize. I don't manage to have control.
Okay, so
so Maya, can you give me the control, or can you please click to the next slide for?
okay.
Thank you.
So here it gets interesting. Why? Because as I said, the Innovation Fund is financed from the revenues of the emissions trading system. But considering the price of the carbon now, we have already estimated that the actual available resources to the Innovation Fund are going to reach about 25 billion until 2030. I mean, the fund started last year and it's going to be here for 10 years until 2030 in the current setup. So 25 billion, if you compare also to the 15 billion, if I wrote down correctly for cluster 5 in Horizon, then this gives a lot of incentive and a lot of money going to the market. Then we talk about two different types of projects for the Innovation Fund, large-scale projects. These are the projects that have a total investment of more than 7.5 million euro. And what do we finance here? We finance up to 60% of the additional capital and operating costs. There is a methodology to calculate this, but it's really related to the innovation per se. So the additional costs related to the innovation, to the technology implemented with the project. For the small projects, the projects which are smaller than with a smaller investment than 7.5 million euro, we finance up to 60% of the capex, just to be simpler for calculating the relevant cost. Also because we pay lump sum, so we won't have. It's important to calculate well the costs, the relevant cost, eligible cost in advance, since the Innovation Fund works with lump sum. Then up to once you get awarded, how is the grant actually disbursed to you? Up to 40% of the grant is actually dispersed as financial close. What does that mean? Is that the moment when you have gathered all your financing sources, you have identified all the needs for the project, and you have done all the preparation, all the permits, and so on. That's when the Innovation Fund also helps you to start your construction by paying up to 40% of your grant. Again, provided that the activities done so far are proportional. But again, very important, and I want to stress this, is that because most of the other funds, the structural funds that are available to countries mostly in Eastern Europe, are based on reimbursement. So basically you build and then you get the reimbursement. But this one, the Innovation Fund, also gives you a little help in advance to be able to start the construction. And then also very important, the rest of the 60%, up to 60% of the grant is dispersed during the monitoring period, and is dispersed against the greenhouse gas emissions actually avoided based on your assessment and based on an estimation which was done up front. Why? Because we really want to, what is the target of the Innovation Fund is to invest in technologies that reduce the greenhouse gas emissions avoidance. If you don't reduce the greenhouse gas emission avoidance, then the grant will be proportionally reduced later on. Of course, there is a threshold of 75%, so don't get too scared. So it's doable, it's feasible, but you need to deliver. For yes, and there is again a simplification for small scale projects. The monitoring period is shorter, it's 3 years. We will strive to have annual calls for both large scale and small scale projects, and I will speak about what happened so far. My colleague Georgia will say what is to be expected next. And also, you can come as a single applicant, as a consortia. It doesn't, I mean, we don't have all these limitations that you have to have a university, a research center, and so on. Just come with whatever suits your project. And yes, and another important aspect is that projects must be located in one of the EU member states, in Norway or Iceland, because they are also part of the ETS, emissions trading system. Some of the projects that during the evaluation show that they are promising, they are innovative, but they are not yet mature enough. They will be considered by the evaluators for project development assistance, and then they will be shortlisted and actually proposed for this additional service that will be delivered by the European Investment Bank after their own screening of the project. Next slide, please. So as I said, I'm going to speak of what happened so far, and we had already 2 calls, a large-scale call and a small-scale call. The large-scale call is still ongoing. So we had a lot of interest. We had more than 300 applications. We did it was a 2-stage procedure. So we did a selection, then we invited the pre-selected to submit the full application for the 2nd stage. And in the end, 66 projects submitted the 2nd stage applications. The results are expected in the 2nd half of November. But what we had so far was that 15 of the potential projects, the promising projects with potential to improve their maturity, were already awarded project development assistance, which is now under implementation. On the other hand, on the small scale projects, we selected already 32 projects with a grant volume of a total 188 million. And they are currently going through the process called grant preparation. Grant preparation. So they will soon sign their grants. They will soon start implementation. And also for the small scale projects, we will have project development assistance. Next slide, please. The reason why actually we welcome the invitation to speak to you today and thanks for the organizers for having this idea is because we noticed that among the eligible applications received in the first calls, we didn't get so many from countries from Eastern Europe, from member states located in Eastern European member states. There could be a number of reasons for that. Maybe the technologies, I mean, of course, the access to finance is not as easy as in the West and so on. But really, I mean, I'm really, really happy to be speaking to this crowd. Look at this fund and consider to upscale your horizon ideas after they are ready, after they have reached a good maturity with the Innovation Fund. It's also available for Eastern European countries. It covers all the EU member states, Norway and Iceland. Another slide, and this would be actually my last. After that, I will pass to Georgia. So a little bit of another kind of publicity here, because the predecessor fund of the Innovation Fund was called NER 300, but unfortunately some projects could not continue, and therefore the funds had to be reallocated. Part of these funds we reallocated to this financial advisory support to be delivered by the European Investment Bank, thinking that this could actually be a very good opportunity for projects from Eastern European countries. We would invite you to get in contact with this contact person from the European Investment Bank and try to see if you can benefit from this advisory support. It's currently open. It's on the first come, first served basis. The only maybe limitation is that it covers only renewable energy, carbon capture and storage, energy storage. So basically, not the like the Innovation Fund also covers the energy intensive industries. So as you can see, around 60 projects could benefit from this. So really don't hesitate to get in contact with the EIB. And now I pass to Georgia to tell you more in detail what we have planned. It's the same presentation, just an
Thank you a
extension.
lot. Yes, I'm trying again to get control. Let's see if it works. Yes, I think it does. Okay. Thank you, Roxana. As she mentioned, you have ahead of you plenty of new opportunity. We have two new calls. One for the new, that is a large-scale call that will be launched very close, actually the 26th of October. We expect to have the submission by the beginning of March and to have the result by July. The Innovation Fund put available a volume of 1.5 billion euros. So there are plenty of opportunity for plenty of large-scale projects. But if, as Roxana explained before, your project has not is below the threshold of 7.5 million, obviously you can apply for the new next small call that will be launched in March 2022. And we expect submission by towards the second end of August of next year. The result at the beginning of 2023. And we expect and make available a volume roughly around 100 million euros. Once you have prepared thoroughly your application, you should know that you will be scored and evaluated on 5 criteria. One are GHG emission avoidance. As Roxana said, it's really the one of the most important criteria for us. And we are going to check both your absolute GHG emission avoidance as well as your relative GHG emission avoidance. The other one is a degree of innovation. We wanted to have a project that goes well beyond incremental innovation and has also have an impact on EU policy objective. The project has to be mature, both at level technical maturity, but also financial maturity. We want the project that reach a financial close by year 4, and that they prove that are viable investments and ready to be implemented right after financial closes, not so far in the future. We have a fourth criteria, the scalability. I wanted to see what is the impact on your project at regional level in your sector, but also more largely in the wide economy. The last criteria is the cost efficiency, how much support you get in the how much innovation fund support you get per tons of CO2. Once your project is submitted, as I said, it's going to be evaluated by external evaluators, and you will be ranked, obviously, from the most performing project to the least one. This list and pre-selected project will be shared with member states, and we will end up to 2 sets of projects: that the award projects that goes to grant agreement preparation, as Roxana mentioned before, and the one that will be awarded for the PDA, the Project Development Assistance. How to apply? Has Horizon Europe? First of all, you have to go to the funding portal. You will find on the 26th of October already the large-scale projects there available. We would like you to read carefully all the call text, all the documentations, and all the requirements. There are, in fact, many conditions, not only the eligible countries, as Roxana mentioned before, but all a series of admissibility. There are obviously limitations, and this is well explained, which are the different evaluation criteria and also the timetables and all the agreement and all the documentation. We would ask you, please, to read carefully all the documentation and to start preparing your project well in advance. It's different from Horizon Europe. We ask different elements, and therefore, please target your project to the Innovation Fund if you wanted to apply. You can find there the call documentation and also all the annexes that will guide you through good, probably, hopefully, good proposals to be submitted. And as Roxana mentioned, we have also special calculators that are made available for you to calculate your GHG emissions, as well models for your relevant cost and calculation. So once you have prepared all your documentation, you are ready then to apply into the portal. And you see here the list of all documentations. Once more, start early and also apply early. Don't wait until the last moment to apply all your documentation. I think we are quite getting to the end of it, but we would like to stress out that we have several events ahead of us. We are the 21st of October already this week. The Innovation Fund will be part of the USEF, and feel free to join us and you will know more. And we'll have the time to go more into details about the Innovation Fund and the various criteria. We will ask you also to join on the side events of the COP26, the 4th of November, where we again put in the spotlight the Innovation Fund as well as the first projects that will sign the Innovation Fund grant. And the 10th of November, we're going to do a webinar where we're going to go into the detail of all the various aspects of the innovation funds and of the call and what you have to do to apply in the best suitable way. We really expect to have many good proposals from you in the next call. You find obviously plenty of information on the web, and here we suggested where to find it. So both on Climate website and the CINEA website. And you have also all a series of video and the webinars that we made it in the past to explain the Innovation Fund. Thank you a lot for your attention.
Thanks a lot to you both. It's indeed a different stage of the idea for the project and implementation, but more mature. But it's actually good to know that there is a way after there's an opportunity after the Horizon Europe project, because that actually makes those things really closer to the market. Yeah, and that's what's important also in research. Challenges. So thanks again, and we now have some time for questions. I can't see actually any in the chat, so if you still have some questions, please indicate them in the chat. We can also, I think, give the floor to you if you're interested to ask a question out loud. So that's also an option, and I see some of the organizers appearing. So I believe there are questions. But if I may, I would like to ask one question at the beginning to Nicola, actually, for the sake of the procedure and the differences between applying to the regular calls of Horizon Europe and the calls that the partnership is planning to launch. So, from the point of view of the beneficiary, potential beneficiary, what's the difference, and how do you should prepare for that? If you could take that, please.
Yeah, Eva, I have to be careful because many things still have to be really determined. I mean, what I can say is that we are planning a very, to make it as easy as possible for consortia to find partners that want to submit with them. We'll probably have, as we will outline in the proposal, have like a two-stage submission, which will be with which will include a pre-proposal check, which already kind of gives guidance whether you're eligible at all and whether you can apply for the second stage. And then in the second stage, there will be a more detailed application procedure with a panel of experts that will also be selected carefully, and which will be selected in a manner so they really have the expertise in the topic that will be covered in the joint call. Everything else really is still not set in stone. It also depends a little bit on what the evaluators say to the concepts that we have developed, and how far it compares to the other Horizon Europe submissions. I'm not 100% sure, but that's really the status we have at the moment.
Okay, so it's still in the making, but the kind of a difference that it's there in the partnership is that the partners from different participating countries will be funded by their agencies. Yeah?
Yes,
so,
exactly.
So
yeah, exactly.
That's also, I think, good to remember. It's a bit of a different approach to the traditional, let's say, calls from Horizon Europe. But indeed, there's still some time for the whole procedure to get ready. Okay, thank you. Agota, I believe you have some questions.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Eva, and thank you for all the presenters. I think we have a really wide overview at the moment about the various possibilities, but I am still curious, so this is a question for anybody. Because we try to collect some good funding opportunities, but could you recommend anything else in addition to these three various programs or partnerships for the applicants that could be used on this field? Then I would also have a question for Mr. Schild, if they also plan some similar information events or networking events that were organized at the beginning of the summer, or the ones that were mentioned by the Innovation Fund colleagues. And I would also have maybe a very naive question to them. But when I was listening to you and you mentioned that this greenhouse gas emission reduction is the main aim of the project in a way, or the funding, so that can also some social scientists participate in the projects by, let's say, changing the behavior of the society, or this has never happened so far, and this is only based on technology and industrial partners rather. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Agota. I think I will now give the floor to Philip first.
Thank you. On the question for the information day, in fact, we are planning an information day, in fact, beginning of next year. Just of putting is just to advertise on the call that we will have mid 2022 in February and April, and possibly also at the end of the year. So so this is something we are also in discussion with our colleagues in CINEA to organize a cluster 5. So it's not only on energy, it will be a cluster 5 event. I see in the chat a very broad question addressed to me,
Indeed, yeah.
which is what is the biggest challenge in cluster 5 from the EC point of view? Well, I cannot really answer for the Commission point of view, but I think it's personally, I think one of the objective, and I think one of the aims that we put together in cluster 5, climate, mobility, and energy, is also that we have a current approach on those 3 sectors. Obviously, in terms of climate impact, energy and mobility are the biggest sectors where we aim to reduce sort of CO2 emission, but also reduce environmental impact. So for me, would be really the biggest challenge would be that we have really a current approach that does help in a synergetic way to improve climate change and do reach climate neutrality by 2050. I think this is sort of the targets that we fit. It is also something that I keep repeating is we are a research program, contrary to, as a colleague from DG Clima mentioned, on the Innovation Fund, which are much more looking at market penetration of projects which can have an impact. So in fact, the true impact of our main projects will not be in, well, I'm just looking at the calendar, in 9 years' time or 10 years' time. It really will be in 2040 at the earliest, or possibly and hopefully into 50, because we are still in the lab, or if we are in demonstration, you are still having technical issues. So so the technology and also on the time scale, I think it's this is something that even when you write a proposal, you have to keep in mind that if I take an extreme, you know, if you are submitting a proposal on the call that I mentioned, which was on the 1st of January 2023, well, it means that your project is likely to finish in 27. So if you have a research project finishing in 2027, well, you cannot reasonably expect to have a full market introduction by 2030 in 3 years' time. So meaning making an impact. You may have a couple of commercial demonstrations there, but probably not a full impact. But you have, in a good way, to do something, but for 240 and 250. So this is sort of a perspective that sort of we have to keep in mind.
Thank you. And now, Roxana, Georgia, would you like to answer this challenging question? So I got it.
Well, I mean, social scientists are obviously have a big role in changing behaviors, in in making Europe become climate neutral. I mean, this is not something that I want to discuss. However, for the Innovation Fund, we really target industry, basically. So hard to abate greenhouse gases from the industry. We target the faster and cheaper renewable energy. We target energy storage, so batteries or whatever, fast, cheap, available to the market. Of course, there is a role, again, for social scientists, maybe in partnership with some other project promoters, but a project per se, I mean, it's difficult to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if there are any other questions at the moment. We are actually slightly running out of time as well, but if there is any urgent issue, we still can allow one question, I think, but I don't see any. Okay, so thanks a lot to all the speakers in this first part. Thank you, Hinko, Filipa, Nicolas, Roxana, and Georgia. We are very happy that you found time and you've been with us here today. I think it was very informative, and now we will basically have a small break, and then we will go into the second part of the event when we hope that the pitches will inspire some project ideas, and we will have quite some proposals out of that as well. Okay, so thanks a lot again, and I'm looking at the clock. We were planning to have 10 minutes break. I think it would be necessary to have 10 minutes break, so let's gather again 11, please, and I will pass the moderating function to Agota after the break. So I think that all the speakers that are in the first part should get ready. Quite some pitches there, so I hope you are ready, and we will be able to start immediately 11 with first pitches. So see you in 10 minutes then.
Okay, colleagues, I am back. I hope you are also here and you can hear us. So we would continue our meeting because luckily we have quite a number of pictures in the first hour. So I already sent a short list who will present in what order, but there might be changes if somebody is not present, or we will see. So the first speaker will be Lukas Amanovic, who will present either or instead of Karol Bandurski. And the next speaker will be after that Aldo Rona. So please also prepare, but I can already see you. So please, Lukas, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you very much. My name is Łukasz Amanowicz, and I came from Poznań University of Technology. Today I would like to present the scientific potential of our institute at our university. Can I please the next? Thank you. We are located in Poznań in the eastern or central Europe between the Berlin and Warsaw. Can we go next? Thank you. We have the HVAC laboratory where we are focused on the experimental investigations. We have a test chamber and we are investigating the thermal and flow characteristics of the HVAC components focused on the increasing their energy efficiency. Please next. The second part of our team is focused on the simulation tools. We are using trances, ANSYS, and pH design for designing the future buildings and the low energy systems, analyzed as a system, not as a part, as a single device. Please next. And the third part of our institute is connected with in situ measurements, because we have a campus BMS system and we are analyzing our buildings of the campus using, of course, trances, but also the R and Python languages. We are doing many measurements from the weather to the thermographic. Please next. And we have expertise in case studies of many types of buildings. We are using data mining. We are focused on the control strategy or for HVAC and energy systems. We are preparing our own methodology of designing plus energy buildings. And we are also connected with psychosociological impact of technical solutions. We are trying to introduce the occupant building interaction models in our works. So we are also using some surveys and semi-structures interviews as tools for our work. Please next. We have also the expertise in popularization of our research results in the energy-related journals, for example, Applied Energy, Energy Conversion and Management, Energy and Buildings, and others. Please next. At this moment, we do not have our own idea for the project, but we are open for cooperation in the field of the previous presented expertise. At this moment, we are cooperating with 3 partners, with IT partner with huge experience with European projects. We are cooperating with district heating company at our city and with municipal buildings managers. Please next. And I leave here the contact for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and also keeping the time limit, because I didn't mention it, but I mentioned it so many times in the emails you have received from us, but actually you have more or less 5, maximum 5, but rather 4 minutes for presenting your ideas. And I just wanted also to add one point that in this first part, we will focus on 2 topics. So either efficient, sustainable and inclusive energy use. Also the buildings are here, just like the previous speaker mentioned, and then energy systems, grids and storage is the other big topic that we might hear presentations about. And then our next speaker will be Aldo Rona, and then please prepare Carolina Lothpabut. So Aldo Rona, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm Aldo Rona from the Engineering Department of the University of Leicester, And today I'm going to give you a brief outline on some of the research we've been doing on microchannel cooling and for microprocessors and heat exchangers. Next slide, please. The University of Leicester is a mid-ranking university within the UK, and it is a research-focused university. In the School of Engineering, we are small and beautiful. There are about 40 staff and 600 students. My own work over the last 25 years has dealt with jet noise, cavity flows, axial turbines, axial compressors, computational acoustics, and measurement techniques. And you can have a look at my website for an extended view of this. But today's topic is about heat exchangers and microprocessors. Thank you for changing the slide. So in an average car, you have about 100 microprocessors, and many more are going to be developed and implemented around in the Internet of Things for measuring energy fluxes, monitoring energy systems. And all these devices consume energy. Bottom line is that a microprocessor takes in electrical energy and converts into heat. What you want to do is to get rid of this heat as best as you can. We have developed technology for heat removal based on microchannels. Some of the sketches on the right-hand side have shown some of the concepts. Those are 50 micrometer microchannels with inserts in order to improve the removal of heat and lower the temperature. Why we do this? Because if you lower the temperature of the heat removal, then you are decreasing the heat and the average temperature in the microchannel. The electrical resistance goes up by ohmic resistance due to temperature. So if you lower the temperature, you lower the energy consumption of the chip itself. Next slide, please. In here, there are some other configurations for those microchannels. Those are rectangular ones with inserted fins, and a similar trend is shown over there. If you improve your geometry, you are able to lower the temperature, increase the rate of heat transfer. So you are going to have a baseline better heat removal. This technology is also insertable in other generic and larger heat exchangers. For instance, for heat exchanging in thermoelectric power plants. And we are looking for partners who wish to use this technology as part of a work package for a larger consortium in which we can make a contribution to. Last slide, please. In here you have a modified microchannel in which we are using porous media in order to enhance the rate of heat transfer and remove the position of hotspots. Hotspots are bad because they can damage the heat exchanger integrity. It lowers the overall rate of heat transfer. And by using porous media, we use conductivity in order to ameliorate this particular setup. In here we use different geometries. We use non-straight walls, and we have explored a large parameter space. Next slide, please. If you're interested in using and inserting this technology in your own large work program, please contact me, Dr. Aldo Rona, at the University of Leicester. Is aldo.rona@le.ac.uk. I'll be happy to liaise with you, and hopefully we can work together. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this very clear presentation. And I can already tell you that you can also address each other in the chat directly, or we will also circulate the contact information. So both the slides will be uploaded, so you can find the speakers there and also their topics. But we will also circulate the Excel sheet with some contact information to help your networking activities. So thank you once again. And our next speaker is Karolina Loth-Babut, and I ask Mateusz Skowronski to prepare. Thank you.
Yes, hello, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Karolina Loth-Babut, and I'm the Managing Director at the Polish National Energy Conservation Agency, in short KAPE. Internationally, we use abbreviation KAPE, which stands for the first letters of our Polish name. Next slide, please. Well, we are an energy agency. We were created in 1994, so we have over 25 of experience. We were created by the Polish government but we work on free market rules as we are a joint stock company, while also realizing public tasks. We are an experienced team, more than 25 years of experts in energy efficiency in the construction industry, renewable energy, and low carbon economy. We have extensive experience in performing energy audits and consulting in the field of energy conservation. We have an excellent knowledge of national and EU legal requirements and different programs. We are credible and recognized in the domestic and international markets and have many years of experience in national and international projects. So if you need an energy agency in your project, I encourage you to contact me directly. Next slide, please. Our areas of expertise. As we are energy agency, we have our services for industry, construction, and local government. For industries, it's independent advice and energy audits in industry. For the construction, we have a design studio of energy efficient buildings. We perform energy audits, analysis, and thermomodernization in buildings. And we cooperate with local government with all their strategic documents like low carbon economy plans, analysis, energy consumption, and monitoring. And for all these three sectors, of course, crossing, there are renewable energy sources, technologies, financing opportunities, solution and investment of energy efficiency improvement using renewables, but also training, education, and we do a lot of national and international educational projects, previously from Intelligent Energy Europe, Horizon 2020, and now hopefully from Horizon Europe. Next slide, please. You have a sample of our national and international projects. We are one of the leading partners implementing those. These are acronyms of this different, mostly Horizon 2020 project. You can enter into internet and check. Through the implementation of these projects, we raise awareness about energy efficiency, renewable energy sources, as well as about the efforts of the climate change. Next, please. Well, possible topics and projects. We are open for all areas of intervention of the cluster 5, as our expertise of energy agency is. But I bolded 4 of them as our expertise is most strong, which is energy supply, buildings and industrial facilities in energy transitions. As I told you, we have a lot of experience with construction, communities and cities as we cooperate with self-government, clean, safe energy, clean, safe and accessible transport and mobility, meaning stressing here a public transport. Next, please. So please do not hesitate to contact us. You have a direct email to myself, LinkedIn, or please visit our website. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carolina, for presenting your really wide portfolio. So there are quite some topics to select from in your case. So I give the floor now to our next speaker, Mateusz Skowronski, and I hope we have either Jan Duda or Michał Hansen with us. So I would not mind if you could also indicate in the chat if one of you is here with us, because we received the presentation from you, but we could not see your names on the list. So thank you. But in the meantime, Mateusz, the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Mateusz Skowroński. I am the manager for cooperation with the business environment in Łukasiewicz Research Network, Institute of Innovative Technologies, EMAC. And today I will show you our potential for cooperation in this area of energy and more. Next slide, please. So Łukasiewicz Research Network, Institute of Innovative Technologies, EMAC, is a network institute specializing in applied computer science, technical information technology and information technologies. The institute deals with, among others, broadly understood cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, data analysis, decision support systems, IoT, Industry 4.0, energy, smart cities, digital public services, and laboratory research. The unit carried out thus affecting the computerization and IT security of the country. Stronger relationship with the industry, especially mining and energy, allowed to build a strong potential in this area. Next slide, please. We are currently particularly involved in areas where modern IT solutions can be used. We have high qualifications and good experience in different areas, also energy, achievements, implementation, and numerous awards granted to our team speak for constantly increasing research potential. Next slide, please. Here are a number of projects running or completed projects in areas of energy, mining, IT, cybersecurity, that shows the scope that we are actually dealing with. Next slide, please. Another list of the projects, from projects in mining and energy up to cybersecurity. Next slide, please. What we are looking for partners for new projects in these topics, in these teams. Improvement of energy efficiency, intelligent buildings, improvement of combustion processes in the power industry, proprietary measurement and management systems, expert and decision support systems, raw materials for sustainable development and circular economy, safe resident transportation and intelligent mobility services for passengers and goods, intelligent sensors, artificial intelligence, and last but not least, cybersecurity. So if you have interests in these topics, we would be eager to cooperate with you. Next slide, please. We are a member of Łukasiewicz Research Network, third largest research network in Europe, 32 Polish institutes in 12 cities, around 8,000 employees and 4,500 scientists. So we are, EMAG is the member of Łukasiewicz Research Network. Next slide, please. The main areas of our activity include cybersecurity, AI prediction, decision support system, digital public services, IoT, Industry 4.0, research and certification, also availability plus, so counteracting social exclusion, and digital education center. Next slide, please. Our areas of competence include also the cybersecurity laboratory, 5G capabilities, electromagnetic compatibility laboratories, chemical analysis laboratories, calibration laboratories. Next slide, please. Łukasiewicz EMAG carries out research projects related to improving the energy efficiency, but also the improvement of combustion processes in the power industry, proprietary measurement and management systems, as well as expert systems. Helping this, we are eager to find partners for these projects. So here are the contact details. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Mateusz. This was also a very impressive list of both experience, especially the list of projects you have already participated in. So again, a wide range of topics to be selected from. And I'm happy that Michal is here with us. So I give the floor to Michal Hansen to introduce themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be presenting here today. My name is Michał Hansen. I'm a part of 21 Stopnia, the company. Next slide, please. Our team is comprised of experienced engineers, architects, but also social psychologists that combined our competences in order to produce ecology and energy efficient buildings. Next slide, please. Well, we have been taking part in the NCBR financing program for energy efficient building production. And at the moment, we are 6 months from completing our basic model of the energy efficient building. Our main idea is to introduce true and practical ecological solutions into the society, in this case, the ecological building project. And we believe the only way to do that is to not only to make the product itself non-expensive, but also to through that to allow people to be able to purchase it on a wide scale. This way, introducing a true ecological solution. Also in compliance to the current and new EU regulations. Next slide, please. Our project is based on prefabricated 3D models that are comprised of a lightweight steel skeleton filled with a special mortar of our design. The mortar has very specific both thermal and acoustic properties, as well as it's ecological in production. Next slide, please. These buildings, based on that model, we are able to produce buildings that are, or rather housing that is, as we call it, plus energy, which means that the house, thanks to a special building management system of our design, as well as solar panels, produces more electrical energy than it in fact uses. Next slide, please. The same goes for, or rather, similar. It's similar for the resource use in these houses. The only water that needs to be supplied to the house is the potable water. The rest of the water used for daily maintenance is recycled sewage and rainwater, and the heating is based on heat pumps. So in fact, the energy use or resource use for living in such a house is very limited. Next slide, please. Within the program we are taking part in, we are developing projects of a family house and a senior citizen house. Next slide, please. The family house can contain up to 4 people, and it contains all the solutions described earlier in the presentation. Next slide, please. The senior citizen house is, however, a little more special project, since the building management system is also specially designed for the needs of older people to allow them to live as independently as possible, take under consideration the current social and age group situation in Europe. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the amount of inhabitants that will be living in both of the types of houses, comprised of the modules described before. And thank you for changing the slide. At the moment, we are looking for partners to develop the technology, as well as for different aspects of the technology, as well as investors, both for production and for building a franchise network in Europe. Next slide, please. And we'll be glad for whatever further inquiries. So we invite you to contact us on the email addresses you can see. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This was a very concrete topic with a very concrete offer on your side. So I hope you will find some investors. And I forgot to mention that our next speaker will be Mr. Kurnik. So Slutomir Kurnik will be our next speaker. And then I ask Vladimir Mistrik to prepare. Thank you, Mr. Kurnik. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, and welcome everybody. I will make a short presentation of our local energy agency of Gorinska. Next slide, please. We were established in 2009, and we are covering 18 municipalities in Slovenia. This is basically whole Gorinska region. This marked in blue. We are covering an area of 200,000 inhabitants. And basically, we are working with municipalities and companies in this area. Next slide, please. Our 4 pillars are basically what I already presented. Energy management for municipalities, for companies. We are making energy bookkeeping in these municipalities. The second pillar is project documentation for investment, making energy audits and issuing energy certificates. Third pillar is our European projects. We are very active in Horizon, Interreg, Slovenia, Italia, Erasmus, and other projects. And our fourth pillar is promotion of all these good practices and these projects from high schools, primary schools, to the conferences and other publications. Next slide, please. These 2 projects are from Horizon. One is already finished and one is in progress. This is Project Mother and Project Innoveas. When you will get the slides, you can check this project on the link. Next slide, please. In Project Mother that was finished, we chose, we were project partner and we chose a district that we looked into what are energy needs of the districts and what energy is already available. And through partnership, we introduced innovative tools, processes for planning of energy renovation of these buildings and energy needs for this district. Next slide, please. In project that is ongoing, Project Innoveas, we are encouraging small and medium enterprises for implementation of energy audits to reduce energy consumption and basically to check what are opportunities, what maybe they cannot see without us, with our help and good practices from abroad. Okay, next slide, please. These are some other projects that we are also working on. Interreg Italy, Slovenia, SICAP. Through this project, we implemented air quality stations in municipality of Kranj. We put up one air quality station and municipality has done for other 5. And there is now online tool that you can check air quality for the city. In Interreg project Build LC, we also worked with project partners on energy renovation and energy poverty that is now really taking on. We are talking about this with current energy prices. What can we do for the households? And in Interreg Central Europe, we worked on project City and Go. Okay, next slide, please. These are our contact details. You can check also our PITS number is here, and you can contact me or on info mail of our company. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy to see that there are really different speakers among us today. So we have also end users, technology providers, and industrial players. So I hope you might even find some project ideas together. So our next speaker is now Vladimir Mistrik, and then Yizu will follow. Mr. Mistrik, the floor is yours.
Good morning to everybody. We are a Slovak-based company and we are developing 4 technologies for renewable technologies. Next slide, please. All the you can see the profile of the technologies. There is energy storage, wave energy converter, wind turbine, and tidal and stream energy converter. And all the technologies are based on the rotor that is floating on the water. And in the terms of energy storage, we are using the water as a bearing and also rotating the huge mass of water, so we can store a lot of megawatt hours. Next slide, and I will explain So this is about the NEORE technologies. Due to the Excel principle of technologies, we are scalable, so we can produce a lot of energy because we can enhance the swept area in the terms of wind turbines and also the active area in the terms of wave energy turbines or tidal turbines. We have the technology patented in some particular countries. You can see that we are patented in United States of America, Canada, Australia, China, Japan, Indonesia, and some particular countries in Europe. So you can, next slide, please. You can see that in the terms of energy storage, we are rotating the huge mass of water that is in the bowl. That is floating on the water. So, for example, in the wind turbines in the Black Sea, you produce energy that you can store directly on the water by transferring the electric energy to kinetic energy and then delivering it to the grid when it's needed. In the terms of a wave energy converter, we are using the same principle that you have a rotor that is floating on the water, but you have blades that are under 45 degrees of angle, and when the waves is pushing the blades, it will cause the rotation of the rotor, and when you have the rotor, stator, and generator, you can produce the clean energy. It's also the same with the next slide, where we are promoting the wind turbine. It's a vertical type of turbine that also you have the rotor that is floating on the water, and you have a vertical blades, and when the wind push the blades, you also are causing the rotation. And compared to the normal horizontal 3 blades wind turbines, you have a bigger swept area that can also harvest the energy from the bigger area or bigger swept area. And when you in these terms, you have blades about sea level, and when you push or put the blades and the blades are submerged, you can harvest the energy from the tidal or from the stream energy. So these are our four renewable concepts. We have a quite strong partnership with a couple of companies dealing with the particular type of energy. For example, 2 weeks ago, we submitted one proposal for a wave energy converter that was provided by Wave Energy Scotland. So we have a strong portfolio of partners, but we are also looking for another partners for R&D, because our concepts require a lot of investment in hardware. So we are looking for the partners and also for the funding for those 4 technologies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This was again a completely new topic and very
new technologies, new topic.
New topics, yes, exactly. And just one short question. So you had already an EU project, or this is still a new plan for your company?
Yeah, I think we submitted, but from Slovakia, you could see the efficiency of Slovak or maybe
success rate. Yes,
there is a little efficiency of submitted proposals. So we are going to submit another, but I hope that we will have a better chance in the future, because
good luck.
You know the situation.
Hello, can I say something?
Yes.
Yeah.
My name is Krzysztof Tomczuk. I am from Warsaw, from Łukasiewicz Research Network. We are very interested in your idea, Vladimir.
Great.
I didn't write down your email. Can you present once again your email?
Is it possible to?
I think we can post it in the chat.
Yeah.
Or post it by chat.
I will send it to the chat so you can.
And then we will also put all the slides on the website, so you can also.
In our institute, we do researches on power converters. We do researches on wind turbines. So I think we can email and chat and
perfect.
Our experience.
I will send you the email address, and also I will send you the YouTube video where all our concepts are presented, so you can see all our concept that was on the slide, how we will see the renewable technologies in the future.
Okay. I will be very grateful if you put your email on chat. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. This is why we are here, so I'm very happy that you already start the cooperation.
Okay.
And now I give the floor to Yisu, and Veronika Retzlaff will be the next speaker after him.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeju from University of Nottingham. My presentation topic, can you go back to the title? Yeah, my presentation, the topic is a supercritical CO2 trade generation system that is powered by the hybrid solar biomass engines. This is the initial proposed title as well. Next slide, please. About the University of Nottingham. Nottingham is the research leading universities. We have a large number of the top ranked department in the UK universities. Thus, below follow the Cambridge, Oxford, and London universities. We are also ranked among the top 10 UK universities for the research grant income. As for our department, that is the architecture and built environment. We have worldwide reputation for research into the innovative research into the energy buildings and the sustainable energy technologies. We have the extensive research facilities in our department, including the sustainable research buildings and the Center for Renewable Energies. We also have some laboratory equipment to carry out research for solar energy studies, ventilation, passive cooling, heat pump. So this facility will be form part of the demonstration, the infrastructures in our project. Next slide, please. My experience is in the applied thermodynamics, heat transfer, refrigeration, heat pumps. Currently, I have carried out the energy technology and energy efficiency technology studies. I published more around 95 research papers in journal and conference. I have been involved in more than 15 research projects funded by EU, UK, and the Carbon Trust, and the Royal Society and Industries. I'm the PI for the EU fundings FP7s, IIF, which aims to develop a trade generation system powered only by solar thermal energies at the time. And also we carry out the international collaboration, the fundings by the Royal Societies. Currently, we have one EU project in the process that is about the supercritical water nuclear power stations studies. We are in charge of the modeling the heat and mass transfer for thermal fluid and thermal hydraulic properties for supercritical water reactors. But based on this project, I have some ideas. We can consider about the use of the supercritical CO2 to do some new novel energy systems. Because currently for the nuclear power experiment, sometimes they, instead of use the supercritical water, they use the supercritical CO2 to carry out the experiments. So we can consider about borrow some ideas used for the general publication, general application for the tree generation system for building service. Next slide, please. So this is the initial proposed the topics. Maybe later with our partners we can modify it. This proposal we wanted to submit target on the cost-effective micro CHP and the hybrid heating systems. With the topic ID horizon +5 2021-E3-03-08. This is the website for this course. So this proposed idea project aims to develop a novel tree generation system that is powered by the hybrid solar energy and the biomass energies. We will produce the electricity, heating, and cooling. And also in this proposal, we wanted to also assess its energy performance and the economic and the environmental impact as well as. Next slide, please. Currently, based on this proposed ideas, I think we have the following innovative characters. In this proposal, we think about get the compact size suitable for domestic applications to meet this core requirement for domestic and community application for the systems. Second is the high energy efficiency, supercritical CO2 electricity generation. This we can borrow some ideas from the nuclear power studies. Third is a small compressor with low inlet temperatures. Because supercritical the CO2 have the high densities, so the component size can be small. Third part, we consider about save the solar storage cost. We use the biomass boiler as a backup for continuous energy generations. The fourth one, we have dual benefit with the tree-waste heat exchange to make our system more compact and more efficiencies. The last one is we consider about use of double heat recoveries with less input raw energies for running the systems. So currently we have the initial ideas. We can modify our idea based on another partner's comments. So in this time, we wanted some partner to join us for this potential project.
Sorry for interrupting, Mr. Zhu, but you should conclude now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, this is my contact details. If you wanted to join us, please contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really quick. So thank you. And that this was a very concrete project idea. So I hope you will find some cooperating partners among the participants.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'll give the word to Veronika Retzlaff, and then I don't know if Artur Kozlovsky has prepared some slides because we have not received those. So will you please prepare then to share it yourself? And I give the floor to Veronika now.
Thank you very much.
You mentioned Artur Kozłowski from Łukasiewicz-EMAG. My presentation was on behalf of Łukasiewicz-EMAG, yes?
Okay, so you covered both, and then there will be no separate presentation on his side.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. That's important information. Sorry, Veronica, the floor is yours.
No problem. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Veronica Reslav. I'm really sorry, but I had to turn off my camera due to internet connection. Today I represent Digital Innovation Hub at DIH for AI in Poland. And next slide. Thank you. Okay, so our hub is a national entity which is funded by our local ministry till the November of this year, but it actually doesn't stop us. We evolve, and we start our international operations. With different sources of funding and also with commercial services. Our office is located in Gdańsk in north of Poland and also partially in Prague from where I talk to you now. We've just started cooperation with Greece and Croatia, and we're looking for more. So what do we actually do? Next slide, please. Okay, so we organize trainings and e-learning in terms of AI and robotics. We also organize events such as conferences, hackathons in the same topics, but also connected to such matters as law, environment, and other important sectors in which we, at the present time, we see the need of digitalization. Next slide, please. We also, sorry, the previous one, thanks. We have our own blog where we provide technical and technological news. So we educate, we raise awareness about the problems, about the solutions for mostly companies. Next slide. We own a prototyping lab where we provide industrial design and prototyping services, mostly for companies, but not only. Okay, next one. And if you need, we also can you can use our computing power, our cluster. So that's in terms of AI and robotics. So the next slide, please. What do we do more? We provide guidance for SME and other entities. We provide ADMA audits, green and digital transformation plans, digitization roadmaps, to actually guide the companies in what do they need to digitize, to implement new technologies, but also what should they do to become more green, let's say. Next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of green technologies, we also study the carbon footprint for companies, for local government units. We integrate a photovoltaic market on the part of mass and individual investors. And at the bottom of this slide, you can see our website, where you can read more about possible cooperation with us. Next slide, please. And something about the project, really briefly, we want to provide analysis based on measurements of air quality, emissivity, thermics, and more in terms of territorial unit. And based on that, we want to provide advice and solutions to lower emissions and to reduce carbon footprint. The solutions that will be tailored to the specific area. And next slide, please. Okay, so here you can find the contact info to me and also our website if you're interested in cooperating in the project that I really briefly presented as a partner to bring the project to life, or you want to implement project in your area, or you see or you write a proposal to a call which you find suitable for such a project, or you want maybe to use one of our services, please don't hesitate to call, to write. Yeah, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Veronica. This shows very well that digital and green transformations go hand in hand. So thank you for your presentation. And now we still have two more colleagues who are here with us, but we have not received their slides. So I'm just asking if Zdenko Miko is here and can share his own slides. Are you here with us? Please then unmute yourself. And then I'm asking also Lin Yang if he plans to speak. But we wait 10 seconds, and if not, then I think this is the end of our first session. And I just wanted to mention that, sorry, colleagues, but unfortunately I cannot see, and maybe no one others can see the raised hands. So please rather use the chat function if you have questions, or if you want to take the floor, please also indicate it in the chat, because unfortunately it's not very clear if somebody raises his or her hand. So thank you, because we still have one more slot with pitches and also a final slot with some more information about how to write your proposals after finding your partners in this part of the meeting. So please use the chat function. That's my main message. And then luckily we are on time. So then we will continue at 12 o'clock with the next pitches. Thank you so much for your attention so far.
Okay, I think now it's 12 o'clock. We can now proceed to the last part of the presentations for our presenters. And I will be the moderating now the session. Just to tell you that at this part, the presentations basically will cover the CCUS field, the carbon capture, utilization, and storage. And then other energy related to research topics will be presented. Like we mentioned before, each presenter has maximum 5 minutes. And we start with Katalin Toth, followed by Artur Krizak. Katalin, the screen is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Katalin Toth. I work for MBM Group as an R&D and knowledge management leader. First, I'd like to introduce my company, then describes the topics we are interested in within the framework of Horizon Europe. Please show the second slide. Yes, so MBM Group is a predominant player of Hungarian energy system. Its portfolio covers the entire Hungarian energy sector, such as generation, storage, trade, distribution, provision of services, planning and design, construction, transmission, data transfer, and incubation. So MBM Group is the fourth largest company in Hungary and the 13th in Central Europe. It is a fully state-owned company group, with the key indicator can be seen here. So we have active presence in 23 countries. We have more than 100 subsidiaries, more than 18 employees, nearly 8 million household and company client. I think in short, that's all I'd like to mention about my company. Can you show the next page, please? So here we listed all main 4 topics we are interested in. So first, as you probably seen in the first page that last year we generated 8 terawatt-hour electricity using fossil fuel. To decarbonize this production, we are interested in all carbon capture and utilization project and technology considering post-combustion technologies. Since locally we do not have appropriate geological formation for permanent storage, so mainly we are interested in carbon capture and utilization, but obviously we open to participate any kind of CCUS hubs and clusters. The second topic is hydrogen. Currently we have a running project to study the effect of hydrogen injection into natural gas transmission and distribution network. Now we are looking for potential research partners to find out the most promising way of selective withdrawal of hydrogen from natural gas hydrogen mixture. The third topic is the lignite alternative utilization. We have a coal, more precisely lignite-fired power plant in Matra region. Usually, this will be phased out. Therefore, we'd like to investigate and find out the possible and economic transformation of lignite to other products. Usually, we are seeking potential research partner that could undertake this R&D task for us. The fourth topic is energy storage. We are looking storage technologies from household to grid scale. We consider even the reuse of batteries, mostly from electric vehicles, but we are open to explore any kind of possible alternative storage technology as well. So that's all about what we are interested in. And the last page shows you what we can offer as a consortium partner. As I mentioned, we do have different kind of electricity generation units. You can see in the graphics. We have natural gas storage facility. We do have distribution network, natural gas distribution network, and a transmission network. We do have subsidiaries with incubator task called MBM Smart Future Lab. You can see the list of their services. And what I'd like to emphasize here, we do have 2 laboratories at Budapest University of Technology, where the model is we own the equipment, but the research task is done by the university and not for MBM staff, because MBM do not have research staff or do not have research institute. So that's the reason we can offer facility and equipment, but research itself should be done by other consortium partner. So that's all. And the last page shows my contact information. If you have further questions, please write me an email. We are very open to find a partner for those areas I mentioned. Thank you.
Great, Katalin, right on time. Thank you so much. Very interesting what the services you provide and you offer, basically. So we go to our next presenter is Artur Kricak. Then we'll be followed by Malgorzata Stanislavek. I'm so sorry for the pronunciation. Mr. Artur, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. I am physicist from HGH University, Kraków, Poland. Horizon of proton NMR for energy issues. This is title of presentation, but also proposal for project of part of the project. Next slide, please. This short story is about our lab, NMR tomography and spectroscopy, which is part of the core system group, which operates in the fossil fuels department of the Faculty of Geology, Physics and Environmental Protection, one of the faculties of the HGH University. To know more about enormous capabilities of our university, please visit the website. About previous, please. Our infrastructure is mainly composed of 4 NMR scanners, specially designed for tight samples and complementary equipment. And our research team is composed of physicists, chemists, geologists, geophysicists, material engineers, and programmers. We can do our programs. Next slide, please. We can offer unique, non-invasive investigation of porous systems by NMR methods and other complementary techniques. Also, applying our own innovative solutions, mainly for diffusion measurements, protected by international patents. In the space of rock cores, not only, like carbonate sandstones, shell zolites, hydrogels to measure porosity and its types. For fluids like water, hydrocarbons, also under overburden conditions. The existing projects, energizers, CO2 enhanced geothermal systems for climate neutral energy supply in cooperation with Norway. Some completed projects mainly related to shells, not only, also tides and carbonates. Next slide, please. I think the topic is relevant to renewable energy in the aspect of bioenergy, geothermal, biofuels. Also, we can some offer for carbon storage, hydrogen storage, hydrocarbon purification and separation, and other. Next slide. Contact details. Next. And something more about lab. Our 4 main activities, pore-size distribution and its types, mainly optimized for tight samples, corresponding geophysical parameters like permeability or electrical conductivity, also in two-dimensional and three-dimensional representation, where we have data determined from diffusion tensor imaging, as I mentioned, in overburden conditions, and we can carry out a full range of MR imaging. Next slide. Some innovative solutions, mainly for precise determination of porosity in the full range, also including nanoporosity, own software, prototype of software converting laboratory data into well logging data, and main dish BSD-DTI technique for measurement of coefficients of diffusion tensor, conductivity tensors. As I mentioned, protected by international patents. Next slide, please. Some papers related to our research. Next. And finally, thank you for your attention. Welcome for cooperation.
Thank you for sharing your expertise. I hope you find a collaborative project. Let's go to the next speaker, Malgorzata Stanislavek. And then the next is Andrzej Cybulski. Please, Ms. Malgorzata, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. My name is Malgorzata Stanislavek. And I am here today representing Fidelio Biogas from Poland, and we are here to present our company and, more importantly, to look for a partner who has expertise in algae farming to allow us to close the carbon loop in our production processes. Next slide, please. So Fidelio Biogas is a startup offering innovative biogas solutions created in response to the Innovative Biogas Plant competition run by the National Center for Research and Development in Poland. The essence of our technology is a digestate treatment process, which uses waste sludge to produce methane for use as fuel and to produce organic fertilizer free from pathogens, pharmaceutical micropollutants, microcontamination with pesticides and heavy metals. In addition to fertilizer, we obtain a salt concentrate of biogenic elements and demineralized water. Our process, like any thermophilic methane fermentation technology, is characterized by significant CO2 emissions. Next slide, please. So Fidelio Biogas is made up of a team of engineers and specialists who have experience in building biogas plants and who have developed the innovations necessary to universally process all kinds of waste. We were one of 2 finalists in the Innovative Biogas Plant competition. As a result of the competition, each of the finalists was contracted to carry out research for the proposed technology and build a proof of concept that would be scaled down, that would be a scaled down installation of the project, namely 3% of the final scheme at 3.7 million zloty, which is about 810,000 euros. This is the stage we are currently at, planning to build the proof of concept by April next year. The second and final stage of the competition is the award of 70 million zloty, which is about 3.7 million euros, to build a prototype innovative biogas plant awarded to the team that best meets the competition's criteria with regards to cost, efficiency, and other parameters. The scaled down version of the project and the prototype will be built outside Poznań in Poland, with tests on the plant being carried out in collaboration with the University of Life Sciences in Poznań. Next slide, please. Given that the biogas plant, as part of the processing of waste, generates carbon dioxide as a byproduct, we are looking to partner with a specialist in algae cultivation. The algae would utilize the biogenic salt concentrate and CO2 obtained in the biogas purification process. Since algae production needs not only water and carbon dioxide, but also a range of macronutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus, it is the ideal production system to produce biomass from treated waste streams, such as those produced by Fidelio Biogas, and use them in algae farming. Therefore, we would match a carbon dioxide and fertilizer producing process with a process that requires a large supply of both, hence closing the carbon loop. And this is the collaboration and the project that we would like to submit for various funding in the future. And last slide, please. For anyone interested, please contact me on the email address given here. And that's it.
Thank you. That's a fascinating expertise that you have. I sincerely hope you find some collaborative partners as well. Next is Andrzej Kupolski, and then we have Dr. Marta Zurek-Mortka. Mr. Andrzej, the floor is yours. I think he's online.
Yeah, he just needs to unmute himself.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh.
No.
I'm not getting anything.
Mr. Kupolski, we cannot hear you. We can go to the next speaker, and then we can get back to Mr. Kupolski. If there is a problem, he can maybe restart his computer and log in again. So we proceed next to Dr. Marta Zurek, and then we have Christos Zachariadis presenting. Thank you. Mrs. Dr. Marta, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me good?
Takes a moment to upload, I guess. Okay.
All right, thank you. Please tell me, can you hear me good?
Maybe you can hold the microphone a bit closer. Yes.
Probably sometimes I have a problem with the microphone, so sorry. I apologize for it.
No,
okay, now it's okay, yeah?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm from the Institute for Sustainable Technology, which belongs to the Łukasiewicz Research Network. So today I would like to talk about some of my institute and projects related to waste heat conversion and installation of hydrogen technologies of business. My institute for almost 35 years already has been specialized in building up innovation performance in the areas of machine construction, maintenance, technical and environmental safety. There are several departments, among others, surface engineering, tribology, mechatronics, control systems, where I work, industrial biotechnologies, environmental technologies, prototype and experimental production. Additional activity areas are from the field of technology transfer and continuous vocational education. So my institute builds research and test apparatus unique with technological devices and makes special production of in some of these mentioned departments. So can you go to the next slide? Yes. Here you can see the several specialized devices produced in cooperation with design, mechatronics and control system departments. First, on the left is the chemical reactor for microwave hydrothermal synthesis of nanopowders. And the next is the device for sintering powders using the pulse plasma sintering method. And next one, you can see the activation of plasma liquid device. And also we produce another, such as a dedicated phosphorus power supplies and electron beam deflection. We are looking for any companies from the heating, metallurgical, and electric industries or scientific institutions which would like to cooperate with us in preparing and later implementing a system for continuous recovery of waste heat from the industrial installations such as in glassworks or cement plants. We want to obtain the maximum value of the electric current power from the heat plugs under the conditions of energy balance in the system and provide high temperature heat energy to the hot side of the thermoelectric generator. Taking into account the compensation of uneven temperature distribution on the surface of the waste heat source, and also maintaining the nominal temperature of the thermoelectric generator. It should enable the conversion of these output waveforms of thermoelectric generators into power grid parameters, with the possibility of working in on-grid and off-grid systems, and ensure that the operating mode is maintained at the maximum power of the thermoelectric generators. And the most important is the control system that monitors the condition and parameters of the system and enables cooperation with external systems. Our experience with these systems show that the main problem of this type of installation is the reception of energy from both sides of the thermoelectric generator. So we have some ideas how to avoid this. Important also this prototype system must be effective and ensure minimum energy consumption. And the second project is related to hydrogen production and storage. And the aim of this project is to develop a water preparation system of appropriate quality intended to power the electrolyzer and the hydrogen storage system. The primary source will be water recovered in a hydrogen fuel cell, but it can also be tap water or wastewater of various composition, especially in the case of hydrogen storage installation with flow generating electricity. It is also assumed that a multi-stage water purification system will be built, in which each module will be responsible for the removal of individual pollutants. And a concept of the energy part of the laboratory hydrogen installation will be developed, including the following systems, such as saving hydrogen from the electrolyzer, compressing and storing hydrogen, generating electricity using a fuel cell. So we are looking for any specialism to price the hydrogen production and storage, and also scientific institutions. So I hope that one of the presented projects is interested. I have encouraged you to contact us and come and cooperate as in the future. Sorry, unfortunately, I can't hear you.
Okay, I started talking about myself. I was saying that you presented some interesting topics for and ideas,
yes,
and I hope you managed to get some nice collaborations. So we will proceed now to Christos Zachariadis and then to Partosh Rus. Mr. Zachariadis?
Hi, I'm Christos Zachariadis. I'm a lecturer in electrical energy at the Department of Electrical Engineering and Electronics at the University of Liverpool. Firstly, I would like to introduce the related research that our department is conducting for energy and power. So next slide, please. We conduct research related to experimental and theoretical studies of switching arcs, which includes the investigation of alternative gases to SF6 for high voltage switchgear, as well as other studies for new methodologies on condition diagnostics. We also conduct research on renewable generation integration, including battery storage, for example. The department has access to laboratories, one of which is the High Power Test Laboratory, which is unique among UK universities. But we also have other smaller high voltage and test facilities and a suite of diagnostic and measurement systems. Collaborators with us and potential partners, they can also have access to other university facilities closely related to the department, such as the Sensor City, which is a global hub for the development of sensor technologies and prototyping, including the newly funded research on 5G applications. Next slide, please. So my pitch relates to sustainable energy infrastructure through the application of intelligent asset management. Often, and rightly so, when we think of sustainable infrastructure, we think of the generation side, which is undergoing a transformation over the past couple of decades with the introduction of renewable generation resources and also the transition from a centralized generation system to distributed generation. Or on the other side of things, the changing consumer behavior and equipment towards more efficient energy consumption. One of the very recent examples from this morning actually is the subsidies provided by the UK government for the adoption of heat pumps to replace gas boilers. Nevertheless, we need to be considering the entire pipeline, which includes the transmission and distribution grids. Our infrastructure is aging. There is a lot of equipment out there which has exceeded its original design lifetime, and at the same time it is asked to interface with equipment on either side, which was never designed to do so in the first place, which can create unpredictable conditions for it, including failures. Next slide, please. One of the ways we can use to ensure that the infrastructure and the grid remain sustainable and also keeps being sustainable in the future is by automating condition monitoring and diagnostics, by leveraging the advances in new technologies such as artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things to develop high fidelity models for our different assets, and at the same time facilitate the processing and interpretation of the data we receive in real time, which will enable us to assess the condition of our assets and also plan for the future. And the aim would be to formulate predictive maintenance regimes to prevent failures before they happen and intervene accordingly, so we can ensure that our electricity supply remains reliable and the grid is resilient, not only now, but also for the future. And finally, if you are interested in any of the research proposal that you've seen and the ideas, please contact us at the email address you can see there. Thank you very much.
Aliki, you're on mute again.
Yes, I seem to forget about it. Thank you, Bastian. Now I was saying thank you so much, Mr. Zachariadis, for presenting your interesting concrete presentation to us. But before we proceed to Bartosz rules, I have a message from Andrzej Kubulski that basically, well, in any case, we will share the presentations on the website of the event. But his project idea is a reduction of CO2 emissions by using green hydrogen in lead pyrometallurgy. And I will send now what I just said with his contact information. Nevertheless, like I said, you will find his presentation on the project on the website of the event. And now we can proceed to Bartosz Rus, and then after we will go to Bella Cardon. Since Bartosz Rus didn't share in advance the presentation.
Yes, I have
share
my
your screen. Yes.
Okay, I have presentation.
Thank you so much.
Okay, do you see it?
It's start. Yes, yes. You can basically put the screen bigger.
Maybe I'll start from the first one. Okay. So good morning. My name is Bartosz Rus. I represent the Łódź Solar team. We are a science club of automotive enthusiasts from Poland. We are basically a bunch of students who design, build, and develop electric solar cars here in Poland, in Łódź. We basically do all the stuff by ourselves. It's our planning, our development, or projects. We are trying to do everything as best as we could. In past 6 years, we built 2 cars. This is our first car Eagle 1, and this is our second car, Eagle 2. With Eagle 2 recently, and this September, we won. We didn't won. We achieved second place in Illumen European Solar Challenge in Belgium. We we are trying to build our next car in the near future. We are trying to do a lot of cooperation with different countries. For example, we have cooperation with DTU. It's technical university from Denmark. They help us doing some strategy for our car. And our idea for the project, what we are trying to do and what we are trying to focus on is how to efficiently storage energy, because this is like the biggest problem for the solar energy we are facing, because it's really hard to storage energy with and not have like very extra weight on the car, because the more we weigh, the slower we can drive, and the distance we can drive is also less. So we are trying to achieve something different with energy storage, and we are open for the ideas, suggestions, and open for some kind of cooperation in the future. And that's all for my presentation today. This is our contact info, our website, my mail. So I hope we can develop something new in the near future with somebody. So thank you for the presentation, and
thank you.
That's all.
It's definitely a challenge for solar energy, indeed. Like you said, I hope you will be able to find some interested parties. Now
and
we
I
can.
have one question: how to stop? Okay, oh, I found
Okay.
it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So we can proceed to Bella Gardon, and then afterwards we will go to Carolina to Garcia.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Béla Cardon. I will try to start my presentation. Just a minute.
It's already on your presentation. Do you see?
And then I just and now I will share it.
It's already on the screen, huh?
Just
But you prefer
wait
to
a
share
second.
it?
It's on its way.
Okay.
It's on its way. Now you should see. Do
no
you see
worries.
it?
It's starting to share, but yeah, yes.
Okay.
We can see it now. You
Now
can go
I
ahead.
can go.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is our first slides, just about the topic: sustainable, secure, and clean energy. We are looking for partners in the field of how to enhance market uptake of renewable energies. Do you see my second slide?
No. Yes, we do now.
Maybe
Okay.
just to put it in a slide mode. I'm sorry. Just to click it to the slide mode, bottom right.
I try. And now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Much better.
So we are a small enterprise funded by scientists and R&D managers. We offer different services to our partners and have different activities. The very first activity is that we participate in as a member of a consortium in different international projects. The second, we give advice and support to Hungarian enterprises in the field of innovation management and how they can implement projects, how they can plan proposal writing, and this activity is a I would say a for-profit activity, but it is based on success fee. The participation in international projects is a kind of, I would say, a non for-profit activity, and we have some own scientific activity and some own education activity. If I go to our references, our company is a quite new and quite small company. We are 10 years old and we are 10 people. We had 9 participations in the 7th framework program and 15 in Horizon 2020. We have partners in 152 countries. We have 152 partners in 44 countries. These are not the people who ever gave me a business card. These are partners with whom we already cooperated on a base of consortia agreements. We have quite a long-term experience in the framework program. It's going back to the Joule program, mid of the 90s. We are quite successful in the framework program, as I mentioned. In Hungary, we are with 15 participations, maybe the 15th most successful company on behalf of the number of the projects. But if you compare us to the large universities, we are a small entity, and and we are the 3rd most successful company in Hungary in the number of projects in Horizon 2020. What is our idea for cooperation in the field of energy efficiency and renewable energies? We are open to any kind of cooperation, but very special. We would like to have partners in the field of this code, what you can see there. I will not repeat the code. It's about market uptake measures of renewable energy systems. It's a coordinating and support action with a support of 2 million euros. And our ideas that we would work to eliminate or to work on the regional differences. The differences what we have between East and West, between the old and new member states. We would like to support renewable energy deployment by transferring know-how of marketing and social know-how. We would coordinate and support the both side, the demand side and the supply side in the field of renewables. We would like to demonstrate that renewables are fit to the market. We would support SMEs in renewable energy market uptake, and we would like to work a lot with young people, involving schools to convince the next generation. What services we offer in such a cooperation, but not only in this topic. We can do, and we are quite experienced in analysis and mapping. We can do different mapping exercises, develop different barometers. We can develop recommendations and strategies. Then the next main topic where we are quite experienced is advocacy, advice and support, to advise and support to selected stakeholders, and of course advocacy in favor of responsible and research and innovation. And we are quite experienced in advice and support to regional academic, but to industry and private sectors too. We are very much experienced in awareness raising and dissemination in different kind of networking services, including partnering events, organizing workshop, boot camps, etc., summer schools visits. And of course, we could offer different education activities, capacity building and training. And of course, we could participate in quality assurance. These are our main ideas and our main service offer in the field of renewable energies and energy efficiency. And should you be interested in cooperating with us, this is my contact details. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much for
now I
presenting
will try to come back and finish.
Thank you so much for presenting your services and your ideas that you shared with us. So we now can proceed to Carolina Duchkiewicz, I'm sorry, Garcia, and then to Jacob Felgenloben. Please, Carolina, the screen is yours. I don't know if you're muted. We cannot hear you.
Try plugging the mic in and out. Well, the headphones. Earphones.
We can hear something now. Carolina? No?
All right. So it's best if she removes them. Sorry.
Can you hear me right now?
Perfect. We can. Yes. Thank you, Bastian. We can hear you, huh? Carolina?
Your presentation is already on, Carolina, so you can start.
You don't have to use the headphones.
I'm afraid you have to remove the earphones because there's a setting in your options that doesn't work. You just have to unplug them. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. Can you hear me? Because I don't hear anything from your side, but okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Apparently, after more than 2 years using this virtual reality, we still have some technical issues. So sorry for that. My name is Carolina Duchkiewicz Garcia, and I've got the pleasure to represent or to briefly tell you a few words about the Energy Efficiency Industrial Processes platform. Can you skip to past the next slide, please? So basically, we are a platform, business and policy platform based in Brussels, and we are specialized in energy transition. What we basically do, apart from joining projects that support the innovation with the combined expertise of our network, we provide information for business and policy professionals globally. We connect and engage with business and city and policy to develop and drive change, and also we provide and share business solutions. We are a platform that gathers 150,000 users. So as you can imagine, our expertise in different field is quite, I would say, important one. Can you skip another slide, please? We have an extensive experience in different projects and European initiatives. Here we have some list of the recent and actually ongoing projects. We are working on retrofitting in industry processes and industrial symbiosis, of course, renewable energy. We have another project ongoing with a colleague from CAPE that was already mentioned here with the providing guidance for SMEs and national authorities. And we are also member leaders or co-chairs of different initiatives like the Smart City Marketplace, when one of the clusters we are co-leading, the one on business models and finance, and we are also a part of the Energy Efficiency Financial Institutions Group. Next slide, please. So as from those initiatives and projects, you can easily know what is our experience, that we've got a broad experience in finance, of course, industry, building sites, especially in urban areas, and also in the policy. Next slide, please. We have already identified the calls that we are interested in. So as the organizers mentioned, the presentations and the contact details are gonna be shared. So if anyone is interested in the upcoming calls from the Destination 3 that have the submission deadline in February, March next year, and they are spotted in this slide, please contact us directly. We are really interested in spreading our network to the CE countries. So please don't hesitate to contact us. On the next slide, you've got my contact details. and they are going to be shared. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Carolina, for presenting the calls that you're interested. I'm sure you will get some partners from there. We can now proceed to Jacobs Felsenloben, who he will be sharing his screen with us. And next we have Pavel Martinovic. Yes, Mr. Jacob.
Okay, hey, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
So let me share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, yes, we can. Perfectly well. Thank you.
So hello everyone. My name is Jakub Felsenloben and I am the engineer/shareholder in WindTag, where we transform drag to dollars for the benefit of the wind energy industry. Wind farm operators face numerous problems. First of all, wind fluctuations cause drag and the energy of air is not converted by the rotor evenly. Less energy is produced and lower is the income of the operator. This can cost as much as $10,000 per year per turbine. Second of all, fluctuations lead to service costs because of machine wear. On average, rotor failures can cost up to $3,000 per year. Finally, it is difficult for the operators to reclaim equipment replacement costs because they have no rotor operational history. In turn, they must rely on external reports to reclaim the money from the insurers. The total cost of these problems in Europe runs up to over $800 million. Turbines face major design trade-offs. For example, the bottom part of the blade is not engineered for aerodynamics, hence the drag, machine wear, and lack of measurements on the rotor, a key rotating component. We have a solution to these problems. We invented a small patentable IoT sensor housed inside optimized aerodynamic fin called 5G-VG by WindTag. We place up to 50 of these on blades to reduce drag. The fins measure the vibrations and use Bluetooth to send data to the nacelle-mounted gateway, which then sends it to our cloud via 5G networks. Now that lower blade portion is engineered for aerodynamics, we reduce drag, start predicting machine wear, and record the operational history of the wind turbine. Let me show you how this works on our cloud server. Our algorithms transform accelerations into useful blade deflections and use artificial intelligence to eliminate turbine downtime while improving efficiency. Thus, financial losses are limited while client gets the upper hand. Here's how we deliver the unique selling points to the existing value chain. The reduced drag can now be translated into 3% of extra revenue. The predictions made by our system help to avoid downtime. And because the operator has detailed history recorded the cost of external subcontracting dramatically lowers. This translates to potential gain worth of $1.2 billion in the EU alone. In our business model, we aim at direct sales to wind farm operators. We just rolled out our pilot installation recently and will be ready for sales early next year. The model is based on one-time fee for hardware plus yearly subscription for services. After securing the patent, we plan to sell directly to OEMs. Our beachhead market is Poland. We estimate to be able to make 1,000 installs in 4 years' time. We are also being accelerated in Canada on Prince Edward Island. Our combined market value of EU and Northern America is nearly $2 billion. To date, we raised $150,000. We are currently raising a 4.5 million round to be able to commercialize the technology and support 1,000 turbines in 3 years' time. Beyond this point, we expect to enter the American market, which requires larger scalability of our product. So thank you for your attention. You can see the contact details of our CEO on the slide, and I will show also my contact details in the chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacob, for presenting your business model. Now proceed to we have two speakers left. Pavel Martinovic and William Pavlik. So you can, Mr. Powell, you can share your screen, your presentation with us. Can you hear us? Because I see you are on the list. Nothing?
Hello, good afternoon. I'm not really prepared with presentation as I was registered after the deadline and haven't got the confirmation at all concerning my presentation. I just want to mention our cooperation offer, which concerns wind turbine vibration problems, a little bit similar to the speaker just before me. Thank you also for this presentation. We are working on wind turbine tower vibration reduction since 2010 and have a scale laboratory facility, which is a scaled wind turbine tower nacelle system, which exhibits dynamic similarity with a full-scale wind turbine, so we can proceed with experimental analysis concerning two mass dampers, hybrid mass dampers, and we have, of course, also real-time environment for control algorithms development, testing, and verification validation. So welcome to a cooperation with us, and I will paste in the chat my contact details. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Pavel. Can you share a short description of what you just said in the chat with your contact details for everybody to have access? That would be great. Thank you so much. And now we can go to our last presenter here from Slovakia, Mr. William Pavlik.
Now, can you hear me, please?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. May I share my presentation from my side? Because I want to jump very quickly.
Definitely.
Thank you. Okay, now it's...
We can see the screen. Yes, perfect.
Okay.
You can make it the full screen. That would be amazing. Great.
Now, okay, I want to introduce my institute. We are dealing very purely only with inorganic chemistry, but we are really looking forward for some partners, even for applying for Europe or even without it. For hydrogen, something this hydrogen economy or molten salts, what I show you in the next slide. We're doing mostly on molten salts applications, things like high temperature chemistry, but we're applying for various materials from ceramics, the hydrosilicates, and let's say we're doing some corrosion on super alloys. So even if it's some interesting, if it's this interest of our partners, let's say measuring some corrosion of some materials, we can able to do it. So from thermal batteries, even through electrorefining, pyroprocessing, fuel cell technology, and that solar thermal energy storage. It was mentioned in some previous presentation even. So our motivation is to connect in that part of research in solar thermal energy storage and others. This is our philosophy that we're going from that objects of our systems through that experimental methods. We're doing mostly basic research, of course, because we are a state institution. But we want to somehow connect the applications, and of course want to go to the development with somebody. This is our worldwide cooperation. So you can see on our very small institute, we have few of them. So let me show you what we do in one department. We are measuring high temperature properties, some fluoride system mostly, because that fluoride has high thermal conductivity, so it's very suitable for energy storage in a variety ways, of course. So from the density, what is there? Viscosity, volume properties, and of course thermal properties like even phase diagrams. So we are able to do, and of course characterization of variety of the systems, which are quite unique in the world. You can see that we are able to do really high, how to say it, hard tasks. Yeah. And now about the accelerated corrosion testing is my area. So we are really able to do many of that, let's say, corrosions. Like you see, we publish many results of variety super alloys even. And of course, these are some scientific results which maybe no one is interested really on it, but be pleased to see that we are able to measuring. And we had one European Union project already on solar cells. We developed new solar cell because the requirement was to keep it at 70 degrees. It was actually for domestic use only. So we developed that salt, and we characterized it. Yeah. Like you see here, it's some comparison with other salts, and it even support information about some compatibility of some stainless steels, 304, 316. It was also measuring, investigated by variety methods. Yeah, and in the end, of course, the hydrogen technology, we have ceramic department which they doing foams from high advanced ceramics, and they trying to apply on that production of hydrogenium. So in the next years, we want to find partners which could we can communicate, let's say, that our part of research for development of new hydrogen producers, how to say it, you know. So we expected that it will be very high efficiency, and here what is written everything. Stable hyperceramic component as a working electrode. So from this part is everything done. Yeah, as an increase of surface, increase hydrogen evolution, and from that the productivity of the electrolyzer itself. From my part, thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. William. Very interesting presentation. I would like now to say thank you to all of our presenters for their presence and time here today. We really hope that we gave you this platform and to establish good collaborations. Just for you to know that all the presentations will be published at the website of the event, and all the contact details will be sent by email in the coming days. And now I will give the floor to my colleague Orsoya. She will present the last session of the event today.
Thank you, Aniki. We have reached the last point of our agenda. After we had good idea and good collaboration and a good consortium, it's even important to have a well-written proposal. So for that reason, we invite Anna-Rita Ferrari from SINA, who will take a short presentation about how to write a successful proposal. in this course. And if you have any question, please feel free to put it on the chat. We have some time after the presentation. Anna-Rita, if you are here, please take the floor.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much to the National Center for Research and Development of the Polish government for inviting us. It's a good opportunity indeed to speak about what makes a good proposal and to maximize your chances of being funded by the Horizon Europe program. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Anna-Rita Ferreri. I'm the head of sector in Horizon Europe Energy, looking after activities of evaluations, organization, cross-cutting issues, and feedback to policy. I work in SINEA, which is one of the executive agencies of the European Commission. In other words, the DGs, and from this year together with us as well, will draft the work program that define the policy necessities and the goals accordingly. And then we will manage all the life cycle projects, which is from grant, so from opening the call for you to apply to evaluation and then grant management. So I would like to go now to the next slide, please. So let me tell you what this presentation is not going to be focused on. And it's not about the structures or the rules of Horizon 2020, because those you can search them on the portals. And it's not going to be discussing anything in details about the new proposal templates or the new features that Horizon Europe has, although I'm open to try to respond to some of the questions, but on some others, I might not be able to provide information. I'm not going to go through admissibility and accessibility and eligibility conditions, because those are pretty clear and they can be found on the portal. And I will not address things like the list of associate countries. I would really like to focus on the process from submission to evaluation, and try to discuss with you what makes a good proposal and what you should focus on, because I know how the evaluation process goes, so I'll try to give you some relevant information. Could we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so first of all, let me tell you that there has been no apparent change in the scoring of Horizon Europe compared to Horizon 2020. So if you were already familiar with the scoring, you will know that the proposals will receive scores during the evaluation, the remote phase, and during the consensus phase. They will receive scoring between 0 and 5. For those who might be applying for the first time and might not be familiar with Horizon 2020, let me just quickly go through what is there in the right side of the slide. So the process is such that you will write a proposal and submit it. And then in our agency, we look at admissibility and eligibility criteria, and we will allocate the proposals to experts that have been carefully selected and who are expert in the specific subject where your proposal will be allocated. And the experts will lead what is known as the individual evaluation phase. In other words, they will produce an individual report that will be used then in the next phase, which is the consensus phase, when all the experts come together, and at that point, individually, they had expressed an opinion, but this opinion will be debated during the course of the consensus. And it is possible that it might change in positive or in negative. The important thing is that your proposal will be evaluated by a mixed panel in terms of nationality and gender. And it will be a panel where there will be experts in the subject, and they will come to the conclusion of whether your proposal should be funded or not on the basis of scoring. And this is what I'm referring to on the left side of the slide, where you see that there is this scores of 0, where essentially the proposal might have completely missed some of the criterion, or one where it could have poorly addressed them. Fair, where it will be still not passing the threshold, and I'll go into threshold in the next slides, but it's sort of okayish, but it still will not make it. And then from 3 to 5, it's when the proposal will pass the threshold and they will really be competing for the funding. Clearly, the most excellent proposals will be the one funded, and we normally have a rate that has gone from, depending on the topic, from 5% to 15% of the applicants that have been funded. The evaluation scores are awarded per criteria, not for the different boxes of the criteria, because when you will look at the criteria, you have different judgment that needs to be expressed as an expert, but they will not be judged on separate sub-criterion. It will be an overall score for the criterion. It has to reach 15 to be excellent. In other words, scoring 5 for each of the 3 criteria that remain excellence, impact, and implementation. And the weighting is normally not really applied unless there are specific requirements in the course or in the topic. And where proposals reach the same score, in case of research and innovation action, they will get an extra weighting for proposals that perform better in excellence. And in the case of innovation action, they will receive a weighting of 1.5 for the criterion impact. Could you go to the next slide, please? So I brought an example of wind topics, but that will apply pretty much to the whole of Horizon Europe. How things have changed compared to Horizon 2020, or how things are for those who have never applied for Horizon 2020. We now divided the program into clusters. In fact, even if you go more upstream, the program is divided in pillars and different agencies. There are 3 pillars. One pillar is the European Research Council, and then there will be another pillar that is related to mostly the European Innovation Council, and then there will be a 3rd pillar, which is the agency that are looking after actions that are related to research and innovation area, and CSA, of course. So I'll take the example of Cluster 5, because Cluster 5 is the one where my agency is working on. Cluster 5 relates to climate, energy, and mobility. And this is the very high level policy sort of umbrella. Within this Cluster 5, there are destinations which, again, if you're familiar with Horizon 2020, you might recognize as smart city, green vehicles, mobility for growth, LCE, etc., etc. But now 6 different destinations have been defined, and these are for the judgment of the impact in the long term of the action that you are proposing to the Commission. My specific agency is interested in all these 6 destinations. My unit in particular is looking after destination 3, destination 2, and destination 4 for all matters and purposes of this example of wind topics. Wind topic, for example, belong to cluster 5, climate, energy, mobility. And then within cluster 5, you will find that your topic will be in destination 3, sustainable, secure, and competitive energy supply. So as I said, this is just one example to give you an idea of how the program is now structured. Next slide, please. So here we go. We have these 3 criteria. Your proposal will be judged on those: excellence, impact, and quality and efficiency of implementation. That has not changed from Horizon 2020. So the holy grail question: what makes an excellent proposal? The answers are very easy. First of all, make sure you're addressing all criteria, and I would add, make sure that all criteria are addressed very well. Do not think that not addressing in the same way some of the criteria is not going to impact the evaluation of your proposal, because each of these criterion carries a maximum weight of 5 points. And if you get 5 points, you get 15, and your proposal has very high chances of being funded. The tricky part, I suppose, comes in making sure that the external experts that are going to evaluate your proposal will be able to match the ideas that you're trying to push forward and the activities that you're proposing with what is asked in the topic. Because if you're going to apply for a certain topic and then you're addressing it just for 50%, and for the other 50% you're doing things that are not related to what's the requirement in the core text of that topic, you run the risk of being considered out of scope. So always bear this in mind. Am I still in scope? I want to add this extra part to my wind turbine where I'm going to insert a connection to a smart grid. Great, this could be a fantastic proposal, but is the smart grid really there in the call text? If it is, then great. If it is not, careful, because if you're spending both mental energy and budget on activities that are not previewed in the topic, you would be out of scope. Next slide, please. So let's go a little bit more in details about the criterion, evaluation criteria. I have put on the right Horizon 2020, again, for those who are familiar with the program, but please, this is actually no longer applies. It's just for comparative purposes for those who might have experience with Horizon 2020, might need clarification for Horizon Europe. So now evaluation criteria will be judged on 2 sub-criterion: the clarity and pertinence of the project objectives and the soundness of the proposed methodology. I have put in bold keywords that I think should really be the focus of what you're trying to convey to the experts through the drafting of your proposal. Be clear about your objectives and be sure that the objectives are pertinent with the call text. And then, of course, your work needs to be ambitious, because we want ambitious work, and you will be competing with other ambitious proposals. And you also should explain carefully how the state of the art of your proposal, or how your proposal would go beyond the current state of the art. But be very clear on the objectives. It seems like a strange thing, or an easy thing to do, but I am stressing it because many times the clarity is not there, or the pertinence is not completely spot on. The second sub-criterion is soundness of the proposed methodology. So be very clear on not only what you want to do, but how you want to do it. What is your underlying concept? What are the models that you're keeping in mind? How you are linking, not the work packages, but how are you linking the ideas? How are you going from A to Z? And take into account as well that there is an element of gender dimension. It will be up to the proponents to sort of decide whether this gender dimension is there or is not. In an innovation action, in a CSA, probably. In a very low TRL, 0 to 3 research and innovation action, I don't know, maybe yes, maybe no. You'll have to make a decision. And if it's there, please bring it out. And then, as you know, with Horizon Europe, there is now a requirement for open science practices. And so you will have to propose plans on how you want to disseminate your research outputs. Next slide, please. We're still on excellence. We go in impact. Okay, yes, sorry, my mistake. I confused the slides. I saw excellence and I didn't see the content was, yeah. But this is essentially what I have just told you. Maybe one thing that I put here on the side is really questions that you should ask yourself, which I sort of verbalized now during the presentation. But I thought I would put them in writing as well, because like this, you can sort of have them as a guiding principle for you to keep asking yourself, am I being precise? Am I being measurable? Am I being ambitious but unrealistic? I'm saying that I want to go to the moon. Great ambition, but do I have a plan and do I have a methodology that proves that I will be able to do that? You might, but you just need to prove the experts that you have to convince, in fact, the experts, I would say, that you can do it. Check carefully if the advance in TRL that is required by a topic. If a topic is going from TRL, if the topic tells you that the project should aim to reach TRL 6, if you propose something that the experts might judge already at TRL 6, then you're not meeting one of the criteria. You're failing because you're not really pushing beyond the state of the art. So this is the type of question that you need to ask yourself. The methodology, I will have a work plan with work packages, and they have been sort of set up in a certain way. Does my methodology reflect what I'm saying I'm going to do in the work packages, or are they completely unrelated? So the other point is, like, be honest. Don't try to write things that are not honest, because the experts will probably pick on that. Okay, now next slide, please. So CSA, the coordination and support action, will have slightly different sub-criterion. They will again focus on clarity of project objectives, but this time clearly not on the TRL, because these are coordination and support action. And they will not look at the open science requirement. They will really be focusing on how sound the methodology that you are developing appears to be to the experts. Impact implementation instead will be the same for all actions. So we can go now to the next criterion, that is impact. Again, impact will have only two sub-criterion: the credibility of the pathways to achieve the expected outcomes and impacts. Now, I'll try to explain what that means, and that's related to destinations and topics. In topics, the outcomes refers to, is your proposal going to show outcomes that are related to the call text of the topic? And are those outcomes going to have a mid to long range impact, which is what we want to achieve with the destination where your topic is sitting, and which is in the work program? And then the second part will be the suitability and the quality of the measures that you're going to apply for maximizing these expected outcomes and those expected impacts, and should also be considered in the dissemination exploitation plan that you're going to provide. And they should also include communication activities. So this is the same for CSA, RIA, and Innovation Fund. And co-fund as well. Let me say it's also true for co-fund. Co-fund is treated as if it was an innovation action and a research innovation action. If we go to the next slide, what should you think about? So quantify the impacts, something as easy as that. Give benchmark, quote the sources, maybe have some KPIs, maybe they are needed, maybe they're not needed, but they give a sense of quantification of your impact. Indicate a timeline, because just saying I will do it in the future is okay, but you know, if you want to make your proposal excellent, then you need to give a sense to the expert that you have a clear plan in mind and a clear visualization of your outcome and impacts in a certain time frame. Try to use in terms of, don't just say things like this is going to reduce the levelized cost of electricity. Give a percentage or even an absolute value. This is just examples that I'm giving you that normally we find so that the experts can make a judgment on whether it's reasonable and whether it's a good target to aim for. Link them to the work plan if possible. How will you measure your impact? When will you measure your impact? Make a reference to how you will address it in a work package 3 or work package 4 or whatever it is that it's in the specific moment that you're discussing. Exploitation and dissemination activities are not an add-on. They are integral part of the proposal. And they should have a plan, and they should have resources and budget assigned. Let's go to the next slide, please. So that's for the evaluation criteria on implementation. We will the expert will evaluate the quality and effectiveness of what you're proposing in your work plan. Have you the risks that you have assessed? If you have appropriately assigned efforts to the work packages and to the resource overall. And then in a second sub-criterion, they will have to judge the capacity of a participant to carry out the action. And that would not be necessarily the financial capacity, because this is something that is normally, it requires a quite thorough financial process that happens once a proposal has been funded and has entered what is known as the grant preparation phase, GAP. This is capacity of, they say they're going to do that. Do they have enough people to do it? Do they have the right people to do that? And they're going to judge on this. And the role of each participant. Are participants there because they really have a role, or they're just there because they're making numbers? And what is their exact role? And was the right role assigned to the right participant? That will bring an idea of the consortium as a whole. So if we go to the next slide, our advice would be make it reasonable in duration, always justify your budget, mitigate the risk. Don't just say there's a risk to do that. Clearly state the risk and clearly attach it to mitigation strategy. Break down other direct costs. Don't just say there will be other direct costs. Explain what will be in services, what will be in travel, what will be in equipment, because that gives a sense to the experts that you really know what you're talking about and that the proposal has been structured carefully in terms of budget. There will be some confusion sometimes between what's a milestone and what's a deliverable. A deliverable is reaching a certain result. A milestone is a combination of results that will bring the project to a next gate. So to be able to reach a milestone, normally you would have to reach a number of deliverables. You have made a discovery of a certain compound, you have made it reacted with another compound that you were that you are researching, that's 2 separate deliverables. You combine it together, and then you have reached a milestone, because your milestone was developing the compounds and putting them together. And that would make 3 deliverables that bring you to a milestone. But do not exaggerate with the number of deliverables and milestones, because the plan has to be clear. It doesn't have to be overcrowded by deliverables and milestones about every step of the way. You can be discerning in this, and excellent proposals manage to discern the correct number of deliverable and milestone, although I anticipate already a question and I cannot suggest any optimum number for either of them, because it will really depends for each proposal. But clearly do not put 100 deliverables and don't put 100 milestones, because it will be too granular, and it will be possibly judged that you don't have the ability of following such a granularity during the work plan. And don't put too little, don't put 3 deliverables and 3 milestones, because then at that point the expert might think that they will not have the ability of judging how the project will be developing during the course of 3 or 4 years. Next slide, please. Another very obvious thing, please read carefully the core text and then make a proposal that understand what the call is trying to address, what you have to do, and then what should. And then make sure, if the requirement of the call text is, for example, that there are that there are some synergies with other projects or with other destinations, make sure that you try to understand what is the other destination and how you could make synergies with other projects. And don't try to overlap, yeah, because normally that gets spotted quite quickly. So yes, the main thing is make sure you understand that there's a have to that brings you to the benchmark level, and a should that makes you sort of shine as a particularly brilliant proposal. Next slide, please. So think about it. Someone is reading your proposal. Someone wants to understand what you're going to say. So use graphic, make it easy to follow. Don't try to use tiny fonts only to pack in more text, because they will not be acceptable. Respect the page limit, otherwise your proposal will not be acceptable. And for non-native English speakers, maybe have someone who could sort of revise it if you decide to apply for a proposal that is going to be written in English. And I think this is all from me now, and I would be very happy to take your questions if there are any.
Thank you for your presentation. It was really, really detailed. We have to digest many things, and unfortunately, I didn't see any question on the question phone. I have one question. You mentioned the gender dimension in the innovation action. It's also important the CSI actions too, as I understand well.
Yes, it's important for all of them. As I said, it's really up to the proponents to understand what is the extent of the gender dimension. Unless it's negatively flagged in the text that says do not consider the gender dimension, or unless it's positively flagged as in specifically consider the gender dimension about this or that item of the text, just consider that the proponents have to make a judgment on whether they believe or not that there is a gender dimension to consider. And if it's there, then they should explain how and what they're going to do about it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm asking my colleagues if every of us, some of us have a question. If not, we are very punctual now. We reached the time, our time.
Excuse me, may I
everyone.
interrupt?
Yes, 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 of course.
Yes, hello, Anarita. I've got one question, pretty broad, but let us say there's a consortium submitting a proposal and then they fail. And what would you recommend for in such a situation, taking into consideration that they have a certain project somehow matching a certain topic and certain call for proposals, and then should they restructure it? What would you give them as an advice?
So if they have not passed, it means that the proposal was somehow lacking something. I have personally had the case of a top scoring proposal that I evaluated that had applied for a similar topic 2 years before and that failed. They had not failed, but they had not been funded because they had not scored very high. And in that specific instance, they reviewed the way they had explained what they wanted to do. So the way they had explained the concept, the way they had explained the objectives, and they had reviewed the work plan, and they had slightly changed the consortium. That's just an example that I'm giving. So the general rule would be ask yourself what didn't work and how can it be improved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm lastly ask my colleagues if any of us have a question, please now. If not, thank you, Anahita, for your presentation. It was very useful and very informative. Your presentation will be available on the website, so every of us can look at it again. And for the closing words, I would like to thank you all of us to participate in this event. We were almost 100 during the whole event, so I think it's a very, very successful event. I'm encouraging you to really check the participants' contact information and start some networking. Afterwards, we will share all the information with you, or the presentation and even the recording will be available on the website of the Slovenian Business Agency, and we will circulate the contact information. With Aliki, Agota, Maciej, Eva, Bosjan, and Maya, I would like to thank you for your participation again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.